Hi, fellow entrepreneurs. Here is an amazing discovery lens of how to look at management through a VUCA lens. Now, you may ask what a VUCA lens is, so I will not tell it to you straight away. You will discover over this entire series of conversations that we'll have. So, today I want to talk about something that many of us have faced, whether it is in business, work, even life. So, the rule book that we keep going on by, sometimes it changes without giving us fair warning. Now, when this typically happens, you may realize that you started with a clear plan. You may think this is exactly what I will do for the next 3 years, but then suddenly the market shifts, customers, their behavior, it all changes, and costs may rise. Some supply chain, technology, any other problem may come your way, and even a platform you are relying on in a very, very strong way suddenly stops performing exactly the way you had thought it would keep performing. The algorithm changes. Suddenly, the plan that looked so strong on paper no longer fits the real world. That is why we must understand that a plan is just that much. It's paper. Thinking is the real skill. A plan may not take you, it may just sit in a file, but thinking can take you to a point where you can notice what is changing and decide what exactly to do next. Many people believe that if they make a detailed plan, they are safe. But in fast changing times, too much detailing can get into analysis paralysis. It can become a trap for you. It can make you hold on to something that maybe no longer works. So the better approach is to know where you want to go, but stay flexible about how you exactly want to get there. Let me give you a simple example. Now imagine a shop owner who planned to grow mostly through one particular sales channel. Maybe they were relying too much on Instagram. Now everything was set around Instagram itself and that channel. When the rules of that channel, Instagram, changed, the reach dropped. Now, how do rules change? Algorithmic changes, sudden policy shifts, a variety of strikes, and a variety of other impacts on one's content, and you can suddenly have something shift altogether. So, the cost of getting customers may keep going up in such a scenario. If the owner kept forcing the exact same plan in this particular scene, the business would automatically suffer because they would keep spending, the returns won't come, you're in a dilemma. But if the owner stayed focused on the larger goal and quickly adjusted the method, the business then had a better chance to survive and grow. This is what good strategy really means in unstable times. It is not about making the perfect plan, it is about being clear on the direction, that general direction where you want to go, and how you are ready, how you are nimble to adjust the steps as long as you reach that final objective. This is a useful lesson from real businesses also. In one case, a Chinese company dealing with imported raw materials faced many problems all at once. Their currency suddenly fluctuated due to tariffs. There were supply delays because the certain raw materials, rare earths, etc., which they were trying to get into the country from Africa, they got impeded by world uh, scenarios which shifted suddenly. Wars came up, there were blockages in the Suez Canal, etc. And this automatically created a pressure on inventory because suddenly the tariffs had stopped the price of what they were selling outside of their country, suddenly make it shoot up. And then the people who were supposed to buy them suddenly had their hands off the books. Now they stopped relying on a fixed yearly view when they were looking at the scenario. They started reviewing their business with much more frequency, maybe in a month, maybe in a quarter, and that helped them spot their risks earlier. They reduced their wastes and they improved their cash flows. The lesson is very simple here. When conditions are changing at a lightning fast pace, you also need to get immediate snapshots of what your business is actually facing, not something which was taken a year back. Now, in another case, a business unit inside a large company looked okay from the outside. And a rolling forecast showed that year on year, the numbers were being too optimistic again and again because they've had a good run for some time. Now that helped leaders act in time. They actually spotted that the optimism may not be true as per the market forces reaction. And that change management which they brought in at the right time turned the situation around. The point is not that forecast will magically solve the problem. The problem is going to be that the truth has to be seen early enough so that you can take corrective action. Now, how do smaller businesses and teams handle this better? And this is typical in the case of SMEs, startups, and such like. First and foremost, keep your direction clear. Write down the main purpose of what that business is, who do you serve, and what the success, the goal which you're trying to achieve at the end of your entire activity, what that success means for you. Keep it short, keep it simple, so everyone from the CEO to the man who's going to open the gates of the organization and let people inside, even they understand what exactly the organization is setting out to do. Now, second, you don't need to keep a plan only once a year and then, fire and forget it. Review your goals every 90 days and see what has shifted. Ask what changed, what worked, what didn't work, what failed, what should we continue, what should we keep, what should we stop, what should we change. Then the third part comes in, stay close to real feedback. Don't go in for yes men. Listen to your customers instead. Watch your sales trends. Look at how your costs are shifting. Look at market forces and your supply chain. Notice what is really happening in the market. Do not rely only on hope or old assumptions. Fourth, be willing to change the method without losing the mission. So here, this is the most important tricky part. Your path may actually change, but your purpose, your end goal, that should stay steady. This matters even more for SMEs and startups because they do not have unlimited access to money or time. A large company may survive a bad plan. They can survive for longer on a bad plan. Coca-Cola, Pepsi sat and lost money in India for decades before they actually grabbed the entire market share and split it up between themselves, and they grew thereafter. And they've had that rock solid place which has not been shifted much by other later entrants. So this is something which may work for larger corporates. A challenger brand may have a tougher time getting through this kind of a brick wall. They may not be able to sustain it. So smaller company usually cannot make that kind of large, dent in the system. They have to have clear direction. They have to have quick adjustments so that they can survive and maybe even thrive. So a good way to think about this is that how you are driving at night. You cannot see the entire road for the next 10 hours, but you see enough and take the next right turn where you have to. Then the next one and the next one. This is sequential. You understand what one thing leads to the next, and good strategy also works the same way. So the message today is this: do not marry the plan, marry the purpose. A plan may change, a market may change, a platform may change, even customers may change. There is nothing fixed. Nobody is going to stay loyal to you except for you and your business. So if you are clear about where you are going and you remain open to changing the approach, but intention stays the same about you want to getting to your objective, to your goal, to your end point, you will be much stronger than those who cling to older methods. The businesses and leaders who do not do well in uncertain times are people who try to predict everything correctly. They are the ones who are not learning fast, they're not adjusting fast. And you can do this better by moving in the right direction, but always checking back and always figuring out how much you've moved, what remains to be covered, and whether you are actually on track for your success or not. And remember, it's okay to fail, but not okay to not learn from it.